All right, good morning or good afternoon, everybody, as the case may be, and thank you for attending the third presentation in our PowerCast series, Step by Step IBMI Modernization from Arcad Software. Today's presentation is on UI and UX, Generate Web and Mobile Apps. The presenters today are Nick Blamey, Torsten Klinge, and Ray Bernardi. This PowerCast in total is sponsored by Arcad Software. Once again, my name is Ian Cartwright. I'm Education Manager for Common, and I appear on your screen as a webcast host. If you experience any technical issues during the presentation, you can send me a chat message using the dialog box bottom right of the screen, or you can also contact WebEx. The toll-free number or email address is on the left side of your screen now. If you'd like to send a written question during the presentation, use the Q&A area that's also in the lower right section of the screen and select to send to the host and panelists. The presenters will answer your questions at the end of the presentation as time permits. I'm going to do a very quick intro of the speakers we have today. We do have three of them, so it will be quick, and then we will get on our way. We all know Ray. Ray has been on the last three sessions. Ray is a 30-year veteran involved in System 38 AS400i series IBMI development and currently is a pre-post software sales technical support specialist for Arcad. Nick was on the first session. He's Arcad's Director of Northern European Operations and has been involved in software development tools since 1993, working most recently for IBMI Rational DevOps team. Nick recently joined Arcad to drive the company's continued growth in Northern Europe. And our third presenter is the first time he's been on the series, is Torsten Klinge. He is the CEO of ML Software. It's a leader in modernization of IBMI user interfaces and digital transformation. ML Software and Arcad's recently announced partnership completes both organizations' vision of combining UI modernization with code database and process DevOps modernization. Our first presenter today is Nick. I am going to hand control over to Nick. Nick, you're in control. Go ahead and share your desktop and take us away.
Fantastic. Yes. Hello, everybody. Nick Blamey speaking. I seem to be sharing. Here we go. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yep, we can see it.
Fantastic. Yeah, so just we've had the introductions already. There's going to be three people speaking. We're blessed because we all have very distinct accents, so we're going to make this real easy for you. I'm Nick Blamey. I've got the British English accent, and we have Ray with the US accent, and you might recognize a German accent from Torsten as well. This is the agenda we're going to go through. Quick overview of Arcad, just to recap on what you've already seen from the other webinars, why you need to modernize, how to modernize, and then we're going to dive deep into a product demonstration delivered by ML Software Torsten Klinge, and we're going to wrap up with also talking about return on investment ideas and then open it up to questions and answers. So yeah, Arcad's goal is to really enable our customers to drive their digital IT transformation. The value of any organization is made up of a number of components, but the
Nick, you're sending the wrong screen.
Excuse me, everybody. I seem to have, sorry about this, everybody. I'm just going to go back and share again. Okay, is that better now? Can you all see that? Is that the correct screen?
That looks like the presenter screen, yes.
Right, fantastic. I apologize for that, slight teething problem. Yeah, the value of any organization is made up of a number of components, whether you're Facebook, IBM, or your organization. It's all about the source code and your brand, and Arcad is delivering you a way of protecting that massive asset that your organization has invested in over decades and bring that back to life. For those of you who don't know anything about Arcad, we've been in this game for a long time. So we started off late 80s, I apologize, and we've delivered various market leading and award-winning products all the way through our evolution, which is now culminated in a full DevOps and modernization, both products and services, and culminating in our recent announcement of signing this fantastic partnership agreement with ML Software, who are the market leader in all things to do with UI modernization. ML not only has the Made in Germany stamp, but they've also been doing this a long time. They have over 100 implementations of this UI modernization technology you're about to see. understand why this isn't advancing. Okay, fantastic. So Arcad's a worldwide organization. We have support over 350 customers across the globe, and we'll be bringing the ML software and the iNow onto our 24/7 support offering. We deliver a full suite of modernization. You've already seen on the left-hand side the database RPG modernization, which Ray and I have taken you through in the other webinars. The next webinar, which we'll talk about later, is going to focus in on our DevOps solutions. It's while you're under the bonnet of modernization, under the bonnet of your applications, it's a great time to take stock and then look at how you can implement DevOps into your software development process to modernize that also. That's the theme of our next webinar. And we're finally very focused on GDPR because of our large customer base. Customers have come to us to fix problems and challenges they might have with GDPR and concepts like that. You see, I'm struggling now to move the slides. I think we're still moving okay. Why bother doing modernization? This is what Gartner thinks. They've written a whole report. There's a link in the bottom that you can see there. 21st of March, a very recent report. It's been read by an awful lot of people. It really explains to you, and potentially something you can use with your management, what's the potential risk of moving away from the IBM I and the IBM Z. And while those cost savings might seem very interesting from the sales guys selling those moves away from the IBM I, it does represent a significant risk to your organization, which Arcad can, together with ML and iNow, can help you eliminate. The motivations, as I mentioned before, it's all about reducing infrastructure costs, people costs, using the same developers, making the most out of the developers you already have, rapid business agility, eliminating potentially sourcing packaged software, which can be an extremely expensive process, and reducing those software maintenance costs. These are all the key drivers which Arcad's going to help you with. What we're going to be trying to help you understand is how you can go from that siloed 5250 and individual code development, batch process development, using the suite of products Ray and I have already taken you through. We're focusing very much down on the user interface now to move you to that new ILE modular architecture world of mobile apps and mobile devices, GUI, web services, etc. in the future. Arcad actually offers a suite of services specifically to help you with that modernization, and this is based on decades of best practices. So we have a first stage is an analysis of your actual code base and a full audit. That's where we uncover dead code that's not really being used anymore, badly written code, maybe as you dust that code off and start to try and modernize it. Then we put our DevOps and test automation in. This obviously ensures that you eliminate the risk of losing functionality as you do the modernization, and then we actually perform the modernization. And I don't want to go into too much detail about this because we're going to be actually demoing it, but we've covered off the database and the source code already in the previous webinars, which you can listen to recordings of. Again, let's talk about DevOps briefly. What's the whole point of it? It's all about getting your new features, new functionality into your user's hand as quickly as possible to then get that improvement feedback cycle. And because traditionally the IBM I has tended to have maybe monthly or quarterly or every 6 monthly releases, the business has tended to pack an awful lot of functionality into there. Again, with iNow we're able to help you deliver that very rapid business value as quickly as possible, which is potentially on the user interface, which is the subject of this meeting today. You're used to that high uptime and quality, and again, what Torsten and Ray are going to be talking you through is a way to make sure you keep that high level of quality your users are expecting and used to. So it's about taking you from this old world of the 5250 screens through the cycle using iNow, which is the focus of today, whilst adding the dev, test, and ops to get you to that new shiny version of your application, which is going to delight your users. The modernization as a service process, just to give you an idea of the kind of things that we can do, we're very strong with sign-on, which was the focus of the previous meetings, and we can take all your entire display files and screens and move those all into that nice new world and give you a nice focus way of them building functionality going forward with the best optimized DevOps processes. So the final summary, really, we've done the database layer, we've explained on the previous webinar how we can help you with the RPG layer. Now we're going to focus in on this interface layer. And just before I hand over to Ray, Many of you may be asking the question, what's the ROI with UI and user experience modernization? And I just wanted to give you a flavor of what the point of doing this is. So first of all, we have a number of tangible metrics. So I won't go through all of these one by one, but this is what we typically see when we work with other clients, the kind of tangible metrics, measurable return on investments that they can get. So obviously the cost of your developers modernizing each screen one by one can be very, very expensive. Cost of obviously ripping out the IBMI and putting in a whole new ERP system, potentially incalculable costs, as many clients will make that mistake of going down that kind of rip and replace route, potentially very risky. Obviously, every time, if you're relying solely on a browser-based modernization, we're going to show you a way of doing the rich client browser, but also the tablet and mobile application. If you go down that route of just the browser, you are setting yourself up for a big longer term cost of retest cycles every time you get browser patches coming out for security. The rich client versus browser update and retest costs can get relatively large, and you have that effort and maintenance of the two code bases, both the new UI and the 5250. Again, we're going to show you ways of eliminating those. Finally, as we move to the end, the power and hardware costs, the ability to be able to just take the user's interface experience and put that into AWS or Azure, compared with a simple with an upgrade which relies on the IBMI, and putting all that workload back on the I can have also a massive cost benefit. And these are some of the kind of intangible metrics we tend to see, that these are very difficult to put a cost or a risk or a price on to show to your management. But it's all about elimination of that development cost. So you have 4 for 1. You get all of those rich client browser, tablet, mobile, all for the same amount of development effort, which is very compelling. The iNow designer, which Torsten is going to be showing you, allows you to create your UIs in a very standardized process. It will show you immediately, as your developers are developing, where the potential errors might be, rather than waiting until the end of the cycle when they deploy it onto an actual web server. We're going to show you that in a standardized way right from the start. Obviously, for your users, the fact that you can eliminate a lot of data entry errors by modernizing the application, that the cost of, or the value of that, is very difficult to put an exact value on. And because we're able to do this very quickly and efficiently and in a very structured way, which Torsten is going to show you, you can allocate more development time to creating revenue driving functionality that's really going to drive the business, and just leave a small amount of developers doing this project, which is then predictable, with a predictable project completion cost. And we can actually, if anybody's interested, if you want to just send us your email, we can send you our return on investment calculator, which uses the metrics. We just need the number of screens you have, the number of display files, number of users, and we can send you back a bespoke return on investment specifically for you. So Ray, I think it's time for you to take over now. I'll stop sharing.
All right, Ray, go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Should be able to see my screen now.
Yep, we're good.
Hear me okay as well. So basically, these are the Arcad transformation tools, and we've talked about Arcad Transformer RPG and Arcad Transformer DB during this series. We can also transform for Unicode compliance. We have Transformer Field that will actually refactor a field throughout your system, and of course, we've mentioned the case tool, getting you out of case tools like sign on and so on. That can be done. So the user interface really could be the place where you start to modernize, or it could be the final stage in a multi-tier modernization process. It's really kind of up to you. The gains are significant. So what we're going to talk about here is Arcad iNow, and actually how you can do that. The user interface is really how people see all your hard work in action. You can really kind of work for days on a new slick feature or something like that, getting all of it just right, and nobody's going to use it if it's difficult to find or if it's difficult to execute. That's just kind of a fact. That's just the way things are. So upgrading a user interface provides gains in several areas. It will make it look better and it will make it look modern, but you should also be gaining usability. For example, I mean, Nick mentioned it, clicking a drop-down box and selecting a value is a little bit easier than positioning your cursor, pressing F4, scrolling, then selecting with a 1, right? I mean, that process takes time, and time does add up. I mean, if someone needs to do that particular transaction 50 times a day, and you can save them 5 seconds on each one of those transactions, it doesn't sound like much. It's 4 minutes a day. But if you've got 5 people doing it, then you've got 20 minutes in a day saved. Over a week, over a year, you're talking almost 85 hours in a year. I mean, that little change can result in almost 2 weeks of man hours being saved. It's significant. It really is. So it has to be done right. The reason that a modern user interface is easier to use could kind of surprise you. We actually use some of the tricks in our old 5250 world, like making a field a different color so it stands out, for example. But what you're going to see today is going to take that concept to the max. It uses colors, fonts, it can use images, it directs the user to what's important, and it gets them there quickly. So the idea is to improve navigation, use the drop-down boxes, radio buttons, have the interface respond quickly with easy to understand dialogue back to the user. If the user can find what they need to get the job done without searching, they're going to get the job done quicker. So you want to structure your interface to do that. Related tools right there, right at their fingertips, ready to be worked with, ready and well labeled as well. So translating your existing screens into the same thing, no changes, just a GUI look, that's not modernizing the user interface. It's not improvement. If you're modernizing your user interface, you should be gaining something. So, I mean, the discussion today is UI, UX, and the X is for user experience. You're really trying to improve that. You're not simply trying to change that. So when designing a UI, some things to keep in mind. Simple is better, okay? Simple is easy to use. Don't crowd a screen with things that a user doesn't need. Avoid the clutter. Consistency is a must. If you display a tool once with a certain icon, use that icon every time. If you change it from panel to panel, you're just causing user confusion. So that consistent appearance improves usability and productivity. Now remember that the end user is on that panel for a reason. And the reason they're there should be the main focus of that panel, and the layout of the screen should make that evident. So don't make end users search for what they need. Just put it right in front of them. Use colors, fonts, sizes to direct them right to that important area. A new user interface typically has radio buttons, drop downs, and so on. Now, if this is an order system, for example, to be used primarily in the United States, then set the default order location to United States. Don't make the end user drop down and scroll every time they need to enter an order. You set up the screen so that all the user has to do is change what's not the most common value. The idea here is to make it easy for them, right? So your goal is to make things better, not just different. So your user interface should make the task easy at hand, whether that it's an internal task an employee needs to do, or a task like a customer placing an order. I mean, a well-designed user interface can actually improve the number of people who actually become customers of your organization or your site. It's all about experience. If the user interface helps them along, they get where they need to be quickly, and they click the right buttons. So make it simple and make it direct for them. So I already know what your next question is. How do I do it? How can I create a new interface like that for my legacy 5250 application? And here's how, with iNow. Okay, so this is what we're here to see today. Arcad iNow in action. It's an automated tool. It's going to help you modernize your user interface and, more importantly, I think, the user experience. It can transform all your 5250 screens. It handles RPG and COBOL, and it works even if you don't have the source. It can be easily tailored to suit the specific needs of your organization as well. It works with Windows. It can be deployed on any browser, on any platform, on any device. You don't lose the look and feel of the interface as you do that, so that user experience, which is all important, stays consistent no matter how they're going to access your system. It's a powerful modern tool that designs and improves your user interface quickly. It allows you to increase functionality at the same time, and it allows you to integrate with new hardware and new devices. It's got a powerful GUI environment that's going to save you time and make this a doable process for you. And I think most importantly, or one of the most important things here, is it supports all ILE language. No other language is required. The ILE API allows direct and fast communication between any ILE program and the Arcad iNow interface. It makes it easy to send and receive data and control how the interface behaves. So having said that, what I'm going to do is pass control back, and we're going to take a look at the software now. I believe we're going to Nick here for a quick recap of what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Okay, so hopefully you can now see my screen again. We seem to be having a few issues with the. Is that working for everybody?
Yes.
We see the first screen of the
Fantastic agenda.
Yeah, the agenda. Yep.
Great. So yes, what Torsten's now about to show you, without further ado, we're going to show you how we're going to create and modernize a set of screens literally in seconds. We're going to leave your existing display files 5250 completely intact. There's no effort in the first part of the demo. You're just going to watch it happen. Then we're going to be using our advanced on-the-fly technology. This has been perfected over literally decades. So over the hundreds of implementations that ML software has delivered, we've uncovered all sorts of strange nuances and weird ways of programming display files. And you're going to see advanced on the fly just pick up the screen and immediately add functionality, not just modernize it, but add that functionality that Ray was talking about. You're going to see a date field be clicked on and turn into a nice calendar field that a user can select. And these are the kind of things that eliminate, as Ray mentioned, a lot of this user poor data being entered into the system and making the user's life a lot easier and making them more efficient. Then we're going to show you the advanced use of iNow US, how you can really get under the bonnet of the product and how easy it is to create your own custom screens. Then we're going to even show you how to suck information out of your other parts of your system to really deliver much more value to the end user screens. And finally, we're going to just talk about subfiles and demonstrate subfiles and web enablement. A tiny little bit about the architecture. So anything that we create on the 5250, we can then deploy both into a browser, but also as what we refer to as a rich client. It's all done using the same modernization repository, communicating with the eye through the modernization repository, which stores the information about the modernization process that we've in real time will do the modernization. Nothing changes on the IBM i. Here's the technical requirements. I'm not going to read through this in much detail, but it's all standard hardware which you have in your on your desktops and in your data center. And one of the things I just wanted to mention before the demonstration, if you look at, you have two options. You have the browser-based web service type solution.
I think we don't see your screen.
We still have a problem with the screen then. I mean, I was kind of finished. I don't want to disrupt the flow. Is it just stopped sharing? Okay.
Now we see the screen.
Okay. I'm really sorry about this, everybody. I don't understand why it keeps on stopping. Yeah, hopefully just a bit about the architecture. You have the two options. You either have the rich client over the top with just the two connections. That's all you need. If you do go right down the web-oriented version with the associated kind of hardware software costs, you then have multiple connections. But that's just a high level about the architecture. So okay, so I had nothing else to talk about. So if we can hand over to Torsten for this fantastic demo.
All right, Torsten, you're in control now. If you want to go up to share and then select my screen. I'll stay on the line to make sure everything goes okay. Yeah, we are seeing your screen now. Go ahead. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So let's start with the presentation of the product. What you see is the UI client, and the UI client in the beginning is just the emulation, but the emulation you see here is of course the fallback of the fallback. This is not a modernization, even if it runs in the browser, but it looks and behaves like a usual emulator. It's still an emulator, but just running in a browser. So this is not what we want to do. And the next question is, we are not here to modernize one screen or 10 screens or even 100 screens. This product was made to modernize a few thousand screens in one shot, in one project, by building a model. And the model is new interpreting your existing screens. For this, we are going to switch on activate the advanced on-the-fly capability of the system. And if I press enter, so the design of the menu you have already seen changed dramatically. We can click on info to see before and after. So what we have done, we have changed the look, of course, but we have changed the feel as well. So we changed the paradigm of using the screen. There is a common paradigm worldwide. So that means if you need to explain somebody how to use your user interface, you are completely on the wrong way. User expects to have as a menu tiles like this. User expects to have a toolbar just clicking instead of pressing. And as long as you have to explain to your users how to press F15 or F16, you are still wrong. You will have problems to motivate the user to use your system. So why does the menu looks like this from 1 second to the other? We have done it with our advanced on the fly. So advanced on the fly is a model, and that model is in first step identifying what your screen wants to deliver, what your screen wants to be. So this is a quite difficult thing. I do not explain today. But the system identifies the screen wants to be a menu, or the screen wants to be a detail form, or the screen wants to be a subfile. These are the three main technologies we need to modernize. In that case, the system identified this screen wants to be a menu. So that's why we are going to modernize the header. And from now, the header looks like this. We are modernizing the F keys. And now the F keys are all in a toolbar, and of course the options of the menu, the choices, are tiles from now. Why does the tiles look like this? Why does the tile not look like the same always? For this, I'm gonna show you a little file, a little source file in our IDE. So this is C# script. It's very easy to handle. We have very helpful things like code helpers. If I write tile dot, and you see now you can choose all the things the system is able to run. And if there is something wrong in the source code, you immediately get the error message, and you can handle it by yourself. You see it's underlined, and you find it here. And if you have a correct source, the error message disappears, and you can continue. What you see here is you can decide what happens with every coming tile. So that means if we run the debugger, we can have a look on the things. Come on, that happens. So we stop now, and we get the tile itself, and we get the item, and the item we have the option, and we have the text. So, and from this we can decide if the item option is 90, we use the sign off image and set the back color to red. If the text contains menu, we do something else, user, customer, print, etc., etc. You can do your own thing, and it works for every screen, even in the world. So that means the same rule set runs, of course, with the system menu as well. So we go to the system menu, office task. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's the original one. IBM I access task and so on. The same we are going to do to the detail forms. If we go to a system operating system detail form, now it looks like this immediately without any extra effort. So I'm gonna show you how we do it by using our little demo applications. First of all, we go to this very, very poor, boring dialog. So we just have one input field. We can input the customer ID, and we choose an action, update, add, or delete. We have a new design, but we do not have any help from the UI. So we have to know the customer ID, and we have to type manually the action inside. So it's very easy to make that better. I split the screens so you can see what happens when I do it. I need the edit builder, and in edit builder, let me resize this. In edit builder, we do have deactivated code. So the things we do are related to, oh, I have to stop debugging first, sorry. So now we activate this code, and if we find a construction like this, character equals description, character equals description, and so on and so on, we decide to split that construction into parts and create a lookup with a text from it. So create lookup with text is a part of the default procedures of the system. These default procedures are open source. You can read them to learn. You can copy to your customization of the system and change it, or duplicate and do something else, maybe with another character to separate the parts. To activate this part, we do not need to compile, to deliver and run to the correct position in our system. We just click apply. So you see here, now the system is compiling now and applying immediately to the repository, and see what happened. We still have the construction, but this is just for describing. And from now, we have a lookup field. Not just on this screen, but on every screen in the world, we do have a lookup field in case we find a construction like this you see in the trailing label of the input field. So let's take a choice, update. So how to find the customer number? Usually I know you have a F4 key, and you have you get a pop-up with a subfile and something like this. But from now, it's much easier to do that. We have a register global F4 text. You just need to register the content of the leading label, cast.no. So in case in leading label we find cast.no, we like to select something from our IBM I database and read the content of the cast ID and put that content into the input field and send an enter thereafter immediately. So we activate this code, click on apply, waiting for a few seconds, and immediately we can test that functionality by clicking on that button. You see here, you get a very nice window. You can do your own things with the columns, whatever. You can search text in every column, you see, and then it looks like this. You can search text in over here, maybe contains, does not contain, is like, begins with, and, etc., etc., or just click select on one record, press OK, and immediately the application runs to the next screen. So in next screen, you see some very exciting more things. I already explained to you, if we find the construction, character equals description, and so on, we get from now a lookup combo. That's nice. But if we find in leading label y/n, something like this, and we have exactly two choices, we get a toggle switch. If you like to have a checkbox, you can make a checkbox from it. So we use the content of the leading label and the content of the trailing label to modernize our screen. But we do some more. We have content related modernization as well. So that means if we find a valid datetime like this. Let's have a check over here. You see, this is a German formatted but valid datetime. So that valid datetime means from now we have a calendar in every input field in the world. We have a calendar from now if there is a valid datetime inside. Also, we can set a calendar in case in a leading label we find content like birthday or date or begin or whatever. Same with the phone. If you find a valid phone number, you automatically get another control with a button. And if you have a TAPI enabled on your computer, you start a call immediately without any extra effort on every screen on the world. Same with a valid email address, and same with a valid website. Just click on it from now and the system navigates you to that certain website. So let's go back to see some more about the system. We created our model, so we are able to have every screen in another look and feel. Even you remember system screens as well. So that means no matter what programming language is behind, we can modernize every screen you like. So these are the screens of the operating system, and we go to maybe copy PC to documents. And you see here we find a construction yes, no. So we got a toggle switch. If you find library, you can see it over there. This is just this. If you find library or Bibliothek, this is the German one. Maybe we can add some more if we like. We automatically get functionality based on that SQL statement. And if we click on it, we can choose our library. So easy and very nice with one effort. So what does it mean? It means we modernize every screen we have in one project. Usually it takes maybe 20 man days up to 30 man days. So it's a very nice little effort to do that. But we do not modernize the screens we already have. We modernize the screens we are going to create in a year as well. So as long as the screen fulfills that rule, so automatically we're gonna get a lookup or a lookup based on that database access. So that means our customers do work in RPG, creating new screens with the correct rules, and immediately are able to test the result in the iNow UI client. So before we move forward, I'd like to show you one very amazing thing. I go to a web browser and you see this is the same UI modernization in a web browser. The good news is it runs in every web browser in same quality, and I talk about desktop quality. So, and it's much more secure, and it's very, very reliable, and it really runs in every web browser. So usually if you base your modernization on something like JavaScript or HTML5 stuff, you will see very, very fast, and you will be quite disappointed because in every browser it looks and behaves different. So, but this is not what we do. Next thing is we modernized our screens. So, and we are able to enrich the screens by interpreting the rules. Sorry, sometimes I need to find a good English word for the things running through my head in German. So I give you another example. What we want is every time we find in one of the leading labels the cast.no and it's a protected field. So in that case, we do not need to look up because the field is protected. But we like to publish more information about the customer. So if we go to our developers environment and go to the label builder, and this little sample means, as Nick already told you, we have very, very powerful, strong controls. One of the controls is the flex document view. Flex document view can get connected to every document management system in the world. And here we are going to create, and we just set the value so the system knows what to find. And of course, we can publish a picture as well. And we set the bounds of the picture, and we set the value again. And this is the entire effort to click on apply to publish two things immediately. So we see the picture related to the customer ID plus the documents related to the customer ID. On every screen, that combination appears. So, and if we double click, we can see the document over here. Very easy to handle. You can even the animation you can see in web browsers as well. And you can take that tab and you can connect it or just move it to another screen if you have more than one screen on your desk. From now, you can use it. From now, it makes sense to have them. So there's one thing more. We have sometimes the need to enrich particular screens like this. So this is very simple screen. Again, take a look behind. So we like to see statistic data, and we like to see a related PDF. So how to do it? The first thing is we click on design, and we say we like to use the designer for that screen from now. So now we take a huge step back. So this is the raw version of the modernization without any AOF. So the biggest challenge to implement that functionality was to merge the capabilities of the advanced on the fly and the capabilities of a visual designer. So we click on modify design. And now it opens in our designer. Let me So the visual designer has a main panel. On that main panel, you find all the controls of the screen. On the left side, you find your own controls. So this is a default list of the controls. You can plug in your own .NET controls. You can buy yourself some .NET controls, or you may ask somebody to create your own control, and you plug it into that toolbox, and you just take a control, drag and drop, and you start to enrich your application. So, but first of all, we like to use the capability of advanced on the fly. So, because if we are modernizing with Visual Designer about 100 screens, and in 1 year we improve the advanced on the fly, we like to consume these improvements on the manually designed screens as well. So we switch over. It's very easy. We do have snippets for that. AOF designed screen. Just press enter, and these few lines do mean please use from now not the raw version, but the improved by advanced on the fly one. So wait a second. So now it's already done. So now we can do our own things from now. Go back to the Visual Designer. We like to see that anymore. put it to the garbage. We don't like to see the F keys because we do have them from now as toolbar buttons, but we like to move maybe this controls to another position. So if we apply, you will see immediately our changes plus advanced on the fly design. So let's do some more. Let's play with the system. To enrich that application, we have three main ways. One way we call it value connected enrichment. So what does it mean? We do make a copy. I just press Control on my keyboard and drag and drop. Now we have two controls with the same value. So the value is 1, for another customer it's 2, and so on and so on. But we do not like to see the value again. We like to another interpretation of the value. So for this, we are able to change the type of the value. So and one sample is a picture, another sample, more complex sample, is a data grid. So we have a data grid, we dock the data grid to bottom. So, and the data grid does have a wizard. If we run the wizard, you see we have a combination of a SQL select from statistic where custody equals the value, the current value. We can test it maybe with number 12. So we get the statistic data for customer number 12. So press OK, press apply, and see what happens. So at the bottom of the screen from now, we do have the statistic data of the current customer. So what we like to do next, I promised you to show you a PDF as well. So we just take the PDF, dock to the right, give it another size, send to back. So to let the Flex PDF view display a PDF, we need to tell them what PDF. So very easy, we can do that here in a C# script. Flex PDF view 1. And here we have something load. Okay, what we find, load from file, etc., etc. Load from file. So now we see the interface and a little documentation, and we can, from that little documentation, we can go to a bigger documentation, and so on and so on. But the problem is we don't like to do that in C#. We are not C# programmers. We prefer to do things in RPG. Okay, if you like. So remember, it's Flex PDF view 1 load from file. So I put it to commands. Of course, if I apply, I will see the Flex PDF viewer from now, but it remains empty because nobody is telling the PDF viewer what we want to see. So let's go to the RPG program behind. The RPG program behind is exactly this one. So it's a usual program, but we are using from now ILE API. So that means we are able to send commands to our user interface. So in case I give you that little sample, you remember it was Flex PDF view 1 load from file, and the parameter is the path and the name of the PDF. So we can complete that information by using RPG as well. This is very useful because usually if you see a lot of products on the market, you need the information on the display. So, but there are hundreds and thousands of information behind the display, and very often we do need that information to create the correct command for the UI. So from now you can do it. If I'm going to save and compile, I have to leave my RPG program first, go back and move forward. You will see RPG controlled or COBOL controlled or Java controlled or whatever controlled you can access with the ILE technology. The PDF will be loaded. So let's have a look. Okay, we're running out of time. So the next thing I'm going to show you, I already prepared. If you go to a sub file, after a few minutes, we don't have, unfortunately now, sub file looks like this. Behind, we see the sub file does have just 3 columns of information. But from now, we do have as much columns as we like. So we just extend the subfile by using SQL to put more fields in the subfile. So, and if we click on all pages, that means we read all pages from your subfile program. So we ask your RPG, COBOL, or whatever program, as long as it delivers more data to us, for more. And now it makes sense to go through the data because all the data are on board. Now it makes sense to reorder the data because all are on board. Also to build a filter. If you show the find panel, again we press this, and now we are sure we are going to find them all. And of course you can publish those data, but let me before group by country and zip. So maybe we do not have enough data. I go to full expand. So now we have something like this. And if we are going to publish those data to Excel, for instance, or PDF or Word or any open format, we have it immediately in correct way. So that means we do not publish any text files or CSV files, tab or semicolon separated stuff. We do have the correct format from now. So, and if you have a good view on your data by creating a filter, maybe you you throw away some columns you don't like to see. So then you are able to save that layout and load it later on if you need it again, or send the little description file of the view to your colleague and ask him for loading, and then have a call and have the same view on the same thing. Of course, we modernized the paradigm, means how to use it. You see here we have the options, show, change, delete, and print, and we don't like to type that anymore. So if we just take customer number 19, right click, change, it's going to, oh, now we do not find the documents, so we get a little error message. You see documents are empty, but we do have a pretty picture from that girl, and we have a very modern application in just a few minutes. So let me show you some more. What if you like to create new screens? You don't like to use our iNow Visual Designer to replace the existing SDA. You can use it with our code factory. So code factory is doing amazing things for you. You just need to select a physical file, and you can use several templates. You can change them by yourself. You can create new templates. In that case, it's a template of a subfile plus a detail form. And then here you have the new source code. And if you compile that, load and compile that source code in any RPG program, you see this is the structure, and we are sending all the data in the beginning of the application. And this is a complete written in RPG new application. And we are using the capabilities of the iNow UI designer. And what you see now, Berlin 1. And from now, this is an RPG program and we used the iNow UI designer as a replacement for SDA. And if we click OK, then we are going to the next screen, and we have all the details. And I'm able to create that program within 2 or 3 minutes. But we do not have that 2 or 3 minutes because we are running out of time. There are just 2 minutes left. And that's why I thank you for your attention so far. Hope to hear from you soon, and give back control to our host.
Okay, actually, I think Ray is going to take us out. We are going to end a couple minutes early. If anybody has a hard stop at the end of the hour, be aware that we will have a replay of this, and you can catch the ending later today, tomorrow at the latest. Ray, you're back in control if you want to share your desktop and take us away.
Okay, give me 1 second here. We'll go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to wrap this up for you real quick. So I just want to summarize. So I think we just saw a pretty powerful tool, and I think you saw that you can add functionality as you go along the way. So you're not just making things different, you are actually making things better. It's a pretty amazing tool when you dig into it. It's going to make it easy to create that new interface, and it's going to keep your software safe on the IBM i, where we like to have it. It's fully integrated with all of today's most powerful technologies. It's designed to help you save time, help you save money. It's designed to help your organization hire and retain today's developers. You saw the languages we were working in. It works on what you have now, and as Torsten showed you, it's getting you ready for the future as well. Your end users are going to love a new interface. There's no question in that. Everybody's looking for them. It's the same thing they used to do, only it's so much better now. It'll be so much easier for them. So there's not a single project IT can roll out that can have more impact on an organization than a big overhaul to the user interface, modernization of it. So you need to get it right. iNow is designed not only to modernize the user interface, but to improve things along the way. So let's go ahead and see if we have any questions, and we'll wrap up. So Ian?
Sorry about that. I was actually muted. I am going to open up the phone lines to all the presenters. Your lines are hot. So I will tell you that if you want to send in questions, use the Q&A button, bottom right of screen, select to send to the host presenters. We're going to answer questions for about 5 or 10 more minutes, and we do anticipate ending late. So remember that you can catch the replay later on. We will send out an email to everybody once it's ready. This first question is, for someone who doesn't know C#, what would you say is the learning curve to successfully modify the code?
I think that's one for Torsten, is
Yeah,
it?
I tried to answer that. If you are motivated to learn, and it would be good if you are familiar with freeform, to use the code helpers, the syntax highlighting, the permanent working compiler. It actually takes to maintain advanced on the fly and Visual Designer improved application. Usually it takes you 1 or 2 weeks, and then you can start to be productive.
All right, this next question is, how does the new UI interact with ILE code?
Okay, I answer again. As you have seen, the ILE API enables you to do much more amazing things that you could do until today, maybe by using RPGOA. RPGOA is a good step in the correct direction, but too short, much too short. And ILE API from iNow is breaking those barriers. You are free to control the UI. You are free to sending data in a parallel way, like subfile technology, but in a more modern way, because you do not have the barriers of 132 23 resolution of the screen. So it's unlimited.
All right, again, last chance for questions. Use a Q&A panel bottom right of the screen. Select to send to the host and presenter. If I want to modernize, which order should I modernize? UI, database, RPG code, DevOps tools? What order should somebody do?
I guess way you probably can everybody hear me? I think I'm on.
Yeah, if you could get closer to the microphone, Nick, you're a bit low.
I apologise for that. So as Torsten's can probably confirm here, and I guess this is a view from we see at the market, the UI offers the quickest way of doing modernization of the screens. Performing RPG modernization and database modernization is, whilst you're under the bonnet, implementing DevOps is the smartest way to combine it into one project. Did you want to make another comment there, Torsten? I have a lot of background noise. I don't know whether everybody else does.
No. I think the answer is very correct. It depends on your demands. It depends on your targets. But from my experience, I have to say there are a lot of budgets in the companies for modernizing. But as long as the decision maker is not convinced about the future of the UI UX, they are usually blocking anything else, also about DevOps or new employees and other technologies. They are not convinced whether they want to continue with IBM I itself. And for that, to solve that, UI modernization is probably the best way.
Okay. We are going to take 3 more questions. What is the technology iNow relies on? Are you using Flex? Will we need flash power to run iNow? Flash player to run iNow?
No, you don't need that. The technology behind is of course IBM I API programming. And on the other hand, you are working with .NET framework. You have more than 12,000 class libraries in .NET framework, plus the third-party products you are able to use with our technology. And to deliver, for example, the application to a web browser, where we are RDP based, so we are just sending pictures and lines and pixels and getting back mouse and keyboard commands. So it's very secure because we do not send the source code as we have to do in JavaScript, and we do not send the data itself. So these are the main the main technologies we are using.
All right, there are a couple of questions about HTML5. I'm going to try to combine them into one. Why does iNow UI and Arcad not use HTML5 and run through a browser as the main target UI?
I think I already answered that in my session. The problem is there is no one JavaScript engine. So every supplier, every vendor making web browsers has its own, and they all need to deliver security patches and improving the systems. So that runs in different directions sometimes. So if you use HTML and JavaScript, your application appears different in every browser. And every day you wake up, you start with a pray that you didn't get any update overnight. So usually you have a lot of things to do to keep your application running. Yeah, and this is and the other reason is simply security. If you use JavaScript, you are sending. You have to realize you are sending your entire JavaScript program as a text to a web browser. So it's very easy for hackers to analyze your program and to find gaps and to abuse them. So these are the main reasons why we did it different.
Okay, we're 7 minutes after the hour. Why don't we go ahead and end here? I'd like to thank everybody for joining today. There will be an evaluation form, which we will send to everybody's email after the event. And like I said, we will also shoot out the link to grab the replay and the handout from today's session. This is the third in a 4-part series. The final part is next week, same time, and the way that you got in today will be the way that you get in next week for the final session. I'd like to thank Nick, Ray, and Torsten for a great presentation. Everybody have a great day. Nick, Ray, and Torsten, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.